Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to Grow Through Gita Thematic Studies session number 30. Can you believe that? So week after week, we are selecting various themes, various topics based on Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. So we have discussed about the 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. We've talked about happiness. We've talked about false ego. We've talked about knowledge. We've talked about so many wonderful things actually. What exactly is knowledge? The 20 components of knowledge. So various themes, very interesting and relevant for how we can imbibe the principles of Bhagavad Gita into our own life. Jnana and Vijnana, understanding the principles and also applying them in their life. So this is what we are doing week after week, and yet again today we have a very important topic that is about suffering. So upfront, I want to give you a heads up and say that this is going to be a little deep, and the targeted audience for this is those who are very much interested in taking up the path of Krishna consciousness or devotional service, or those of us who are already on the path of Krishna consciousness and want to enhance our understanding, because we are going to go like really deep. If anybody is really new, you are definitely welcome to stay with us for the rest of the session and give it a hear and see how well you can understand. So you can still stick around, anybody who is like really new, but it may be a little heavy for you. Okay, so I just want to put that out there upfront even before beginning the class. So it's going to be a quite technical and a deep dive study kind of a class today. So please keep your notebooks right next to you. I'm sure that there will be quite a lot of points that you may want to take notes and make sure you follow. So keeping a notebook and something to write with will come really handy for this class. So if you don't already have it, go and grab it right now, or maybe something to type with also. Okay, so take some good notes. All right, so let me see all the different devotees who are already here. Tirumalai Kumaran sir, Hare Krishna, Raghavendra Kulkarni sir, Geeta Kulkarni Mataji, Koti Pranamagalu to you too. Yogita Mataji is here, Abhi Mataji, Dandavat Pranams to you Mataji. In spite of being not well, you are attending all the sessions. Hats off to you, very impressive. Saundarya is here, Hare Krishna. Banu Mataji, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Satyamurthy sir, Pranamagalu. Chetan Prabhu, Sharada Mataji, Shraddha, Asha ji, Lata ji, Shilpa Gowda. Good to see you, Shilpa. Thank you for joining this evening. Sandesh is here. Sandesh also, in spite of not being so well, he still made it a point to attend this morning's class and again this class. Good job. Keep it up. Thank you. Ganesh Rao sir is here. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams to you too. Anybody who has not already taken the time to say Hare Krishna, please do so. So I know that you are here and it feels good. Vijayarani Mataji, Hare Krishna, welcome to the session. So let's go ahead and start with the invocation prayers. And after the invocation prayers, we are going to do an anatomy, a dissection study of suffering. Okay, so get ready for that. So let's start. All right. I request that all of you sit straight wherever you are. Kindly join your palms together and please repeat after me. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेमा प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः नमो ब्रह्मण्य देवाय गो ब्राह्मण हिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. 3 times let us loudly with love and devotion invoking the supreme auspicious blessings of Lord Sri Krishna. Let us pray unto him by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra loudly 3 times. Dear devotees, please join me. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let us offer our humble obeisances and express our sincere, heartfelt gratitude by dedicating the 30th Thru Gita thematic study session unto the divine lotus feet of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, my most beloved spiritual master, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON for short. So let's pray unto him, seek his blessings and continue forward. But before that, let me quickly adjust my screen in a way that you can see both me and the PowerPoint presentation. Like I said before, just at the beginning of the session, for those of you who joined a little later, today's class is going to be like a really deep dive, I think. So it would serve you very well if you can keep your notebook very handy, and please take down some notes and do some self-introspection and sit down with an open mind and very attentive ears. Okay. So up front, I want to let you know that most of the content that I'm going to share with you for the next roughly 90 minutes or so, approximately, is based on this wonderful, most amazing book called Madhurya Kadambini. So Madhurya means nectar, sweetness. Kadambini means a cloud bank, a cloud that is filled with water, filled with rain, which is about to shower. So Madhurya Kadambini, in English literal sense, it means the cloud bank of nectar. Now, why are we referring to this book by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, a great acharya coming in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya? In fact, he is deemed as an incarnation of Rupa Goswami actually. So he's done a wonderful job. I cannot recommend this book enough, where he does an amazing job of very scientific way, very logical way, in a very detailed way. He talks about the various steps of devotional service. So almost all of the content, or if not most of it, that I'm sharing this evening is actually based on that book. It's derived from that book. It's available online, so you're welcome to download and read, or you can even get a copy by purchasing and reading through it. Okay, so I'm just going to try and give you as much as I can in the available time. All right. So Gopi Rangan sir is here. Hare Krishna. Welcome sir. Sukriti Krishna Prabhu and Shubhaprada Devi Mataji. Welcome to the session. Padmanabhan sir, Indrani Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sri Ram sir and family. Hare Krishna. Shantanu Prabhu says HKM. So HKP to you Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Good to have you live today. He has been binge watching all the videos on Aradhana online, and he has such deep thirst for studying Bhagavad Gita and other devotional books. He's been constantly questioning, asking various things, and he's having a gala of a time. So thank you, Shantanu Prabhu, for being such a wonderful devotee and consuming so much content related to Bhagavad Gita. Anjuji, Hare Krishna. Vijay Rani Mataji, Hare Krishna to you as well. So Hare Krishna, everyone, let's begin. So today's session is about suffering. The two key things, like I had mentioned in the video invite, is number one, why do we suffer? What is the root cause of suffering? Okay, so we don't want to do a band-aid kind of a thing. Just ask, why did we suffer and this happened? Oh, the health is not well, so suffering. Or maybe some relationship is gone sour, so suffering. Or maybe somebody is having some financial trouble, suffering. So we just don't want to get to like one layer. We want to go to the root cause. And then the second part is, how do we end all of our suffering? Okay, so find out the root cause and then focus on the most of the majority of the session today will be focused on how do we put an end to all our suffering? How do we get rid of all of our suffering once and for all? Okay, so that is what we are embarking on. Let's see how it goes. So what are the causes of suffering? So in the Sanskrit term, there is a term called klesha. So klesha means the causes of suffering. So it is said there are 5 types of klesha: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha and abhinivesha. So the root cause of all the kleshas is the number one cause of suffering, which is avidya, ignorance. And what is this ignorance? Ignorance to misidentify oneself, ignorance of understanding the supreme position of the Lord, ignorance of the connection between the soul and the super soul, ignorance between attaining the right kind of enjoyment by serving the Lord versus trying to independently enjoy. So basically, ignorance is the root cause of all suffering, avidya. And in addition to avidya, there are also four more. Asmita means false ego. We were just now talking about misidentity, so that is related to false ego. Then there is raga, which is attachment. And then there is dvesha, the repulsion or the hatred or the disgust. And also abhinivesha. That means attachment to the body or being absorbed in the body as a way of achieving sense gratification, abhinivesha. So let's talk about ignorance, because that is like the really root cause of suffering. In fact, this ignorance is so deep-rooted and is the actual cause of suffering that the main focus of our Bhagavad Gita shloka, which we are going to understand in a deep way, is from chapter 4, the last shloka, that is 42nd shloka of chapter 4. Tasmad ajnana sambhutam hridstam jnanasinatmanah chitvainam samshayam yogam atishtottishta bharata. So Arjuna, at the end of chapter 1, has sat down and he said he does not want to fight. And why does he not want to fight? Because he's given like 5 different reasons. Basically, the reason why he does not want to fight is attachment for his kith and kin. He does not want to become a cause of killing them, and it will cause him a lot of suffering. And even if he wins, who is he going to enjoy with? So he gives all these different reasons: fear of sinful reactions, and the degradation of social structure. So he gives 5 different reasons. And then even after he sat down and he surrendered to Krishna, he's been asking various questions to Krishna. Can you tell me about that? Can you tell me about this? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I renounce? Should I act? So all this samshayam, third line, second word, samshayam, all these doubts that are arising in the heart of Krishna, why is it coming? Tasmat ajnana sambhutam. Tasmat means therefore, because this is coming at the end of the chapter. He's saying therefore as a way of concluding. Ajnana sambhutam. This samshayam, all the doubts and the, all the various confusions that is coming because of ajnana, ignorance. So, okay, now it is coming from ignorance. Now, what do I do about it? Hridstam jnanasinatmanaha chitvainam. So, Krishna is telling to fight this demon of doubt, oh Arjuna, you need a weapon. You need a shastra. And what is that weapon? The weapon of knowledge. Jnanasinatmanaha chitvainam. So this demon called ajnana, ignorance, which is filling our heart, hridstam, has to be slashed with the weapon of knowledge. So he is encouraging Arjuna by the name Bharata, who is coming in this great lineage of the great king Bharata. Atishta, oh Arjuna, get up, get up. You can't be sitting here drowned by your ignorance and confusion. You need to get up, and armed with the weapon of knowledge, you need to slash this demon of ignorance which has arisen in your heart. So my dear devotees, that is why in today's session, we are going to try to do exactly this very same thing. Follow the instruction of Krishna. How do we go from ajnana to jnana? How do we go from this spectrum from the end of this spectrum to the end of, the other side of the spectrum? Okay, I think that sentence did not come out properly, but I think you know what I mean, so I'm not going to repeat it, all right? So, how is this ajnana? What is it doing to us? So let us understand, you, me, each one of us, not just the humans, but any living creature, actually we belong to the spiritual world. All right. And in the spiritual world, when the jiva is, nicely enjoying with Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and his associates, there is actually no suffering. In fact, that is why there it is called Vaikunta. There is no anxiety. Kunta means anxiety. Vaikunta means no anxiety. And for some of you, these may be a repetition, but trust me, we are going to get into like deeper versions of it. I'm just building the context to get into it. Okay, so stick along with me and stay the course. So the jiva by nature, Sat Chit Ananda. Sat is it is eternal. Chit is it is full of jnana, full of knowledge. It's complete with knowledge. And Ananda, it is always completely blissful. So eternal, full of knowledge, and completely blissful. So when we were in the spiritual world, where we actually come from, we did not have this avidya. There was no ajnana. There was no avidya, no ignorance. We were full of knowledge. But because of the misuse of free will of the jiva, when the jiva, the soul, turns his or her back towards Krishna and says, I want to independently enjoy of you, then Krishna respects that use of free will, or rather the misuse of free will, and that causes the fall down of the soul from the spiritual world to the material world. And the moment we come from Haridam to Devidam, Haridam is where Krishna resides, and Devidam is the jurisdiction of Parvati Devi or Durga Devi. She's the one with Trishula, Trishula representing the three kleshas. So this is actually Devidam, and in between this Haridam and Devidam, there is Maheshdam, where Lord Shiva resides. Now you may say, okay, Maheshdam, Lord Shiva resides, Devidam, Durga Devi resides, doesn't she stay with her husband in Maheshdam? Well, she does. Although she resides in Maheshdam along with her husband happily, this is her jurisdiction. This area belongs to her administration. She is in charge of this. That is why it's called Durga. It's a fort. It's a prison house of material world. Okay. So the jiva, because of its independent misuse of free will, it wants to enjoy independently of Krishna. It falls from the spiritual world to the material world, Haridam to Devidam. And the moment this fall happens, the soul is covered with avidya, covered with ignorance. That Satchidananda Rupa is covered. Okay, so now as a result of this ignorance covering on top of the jiva, which is originally Satchidananda, now what happens? Immediately Bijam. Bijam means seed. What kind of a seed? There are various seeds or called Ichcha, desires, material desires. Remember, because our whole intention was I want to enjoy. Now, how do I want to enjoy? In what forms do I want to enjoy? With whom do I want to enjoy? In what kind of a body do I want to enjoy? There are unlimited varieties of ways of enjoying. So bijam, because of ignorance, it gives rise to the seeds of material desires. And once these seeds of material desires are there, then we start acting upon them to want to enjoy those fruits, because it's just a seed, right? It's a desire. But to enjoy, I have to do something. I have to work in that direction. So karma. And once you act in that direction, there is karma phala, the fruits of the action. And now you have a bag of fruits. From the seed to a bag of fruits. And in this bag of fruits, you have some good fruits, you have some bad fruits. Good fruits is your punya karma, the good favorable results, and bad fruits, rotten fruits, those are the papa karma phalas, sinful reactions. So now this bag of fruits that you have, good fruits, fruits and bad fruits, punya and papa. Now that is distinguished into two categories, aprarabdha karma phala and prarabdha karma phala. Aprarabdha karma phala means we have so many karmic reactions which we have accumulated millions and millions and millions of lifetimes. So aprarabdha karma phala means unmanifested. Aprarabdha. Prarabdha means manifested, which is coming to you. Aprarabdha means unmanifested. It is there, but it is not manifested yet. The reaction is yet to come. Like, let's say somebody is walking down the street and for no reason you go and slap somebody. Now that is the karma you did. You slapped somebody. Now immediately the person slaps you back. Now that is prarabdha karma. It manifested. They already hit you. You hit them. They hit you back, and it's manifested karma. Or let's say somebody ate an ice cream last night. And after about 12 hours, they ate an ice cream, they went to sleep. After 12 hours, next day morning, they have a little cold. So the action was to eat ice cream, and the reaction they got, the prarabdha, the manifested karma phala, is that they have a cold and a sore throat or something like that. So prarabdha means manifested karma phala, aprarabdha means unmanifested. So for each lifetime, we have a quota of prarabdha karma. In fact, some of our ancestors may also be saying this. Sometimes when they get some reaction, oh, what prarabdha this is? Yen prarabdha nappa idu? In Kannada. They literally actually use that word. Yes, Tirumalai sir is saying Sanchitta karma. That's right, exactly. Sanchitta karma is aprarabdha karma. All this entire baggage of karma that is there. But of that entire Sanchitta karma, the whole big quota of karma, go down of karma we have, some part of is taken, and for this lifetime, they've said in this lifetime you have to, enjoy and suffer for this particular amount of papa and punya. But a whole other go down of baggage of karma is sitting there. So, aprarabdha karma phala, unmanifested, then prarabdha, which is manifesting. So, when it is manifesting and we are going through eating our good fruits and bad fruits, we are again doing so many other things also. Karma is getting more and more entangled, which leads to kutam. What is kutam? Kutam is the most dangerous thing actually. Kutam means inclinations. In other words, it's also called uti in Sanskrit. In fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 subject matters are discussed. And of those 10 subject matters, one of the subject matters is exclusively for this thing kutam, which is uti, which is inclination. Now we may say, what is this inclination? So whether somebody does something good or somebody does something bad, it does not just end with your karma phala and you experienced it and it is over. Every time you go through this cycle of bija, karma, prarabdha, aprarabdha and all this, it leaves an impression in your heart. And those impressions become thicker and thicker and thicker. And it propels you in the direction of committing that sin more and more again and again. I hope you're following me. So this kutam is really dangerous because it's not like you did something wrong, you suffered for it and that's it, it's gone. Although you suffered for it, it has left an inclination in your psychological system. It's left an impression in your heart. Like say for example, maybe there's a college student, they've all gathered for a birthday party. His friends may say, hey, come on, drink a peg of alcohol. Initially, when he is in knowledge, vidya, he may think, I come from a good family, my parents will not be pleased with this. And this can be very addictive, this can ruin my future and this can malign my character. And as a student, I should not get into any kinds of intoxicant. So if he can think of all these things, right now his inclination is strong towards saying no to the drink. But let's say there is a little bit more force from the friend. Maybe everybody is drinking and they say, oh, what a coward you are, don't be such a sissy, come on, drink a peg or something like that. And initially he does it with a lot of guilt, reluctantly. But let's say 2 weeks later, again they've all gathered for something else, and this time when they say, now he gives in a little bit more easily. He's not that reluctant and he doesn't do. Why? Because already that impression, that inclination, that kutam, that uti is there. So if he does this, like say for like 5, 6 times, 10 times, and then it becomes just a natural thing. Why? This kutam has gotten thickened, thickened, thickened. And after a year, maybe he'll be the one forcing somebody else to drink. He's gotten to that stage now. So kutam is super dangerous because lifetimes after lifetimes, these inclinations come with us. They are propelling us in a certain direction, which may not be very conducive for our goal of ending our suffering. Just like this guy, if he keeps on drinking, he's going to become an addict. And he's going to suffer so much as a result of that and ruin his whole life. So that was just a simple example, but this applies equally to anything. And of course, similarly, if somebody does good, it leaves good impressions also. They are more likely to make that similar decision, make that choice later again. But it's more prominent when it comes to, we all know that it tends to be easier to make wrong decisions than the right ones. The usual inclination is towards papa karma rather than punya karma. Anyway, but regardless of good or bad or, whatever, as long as we are covered in this covering of ignorance, this whole perpetual vicious cycle. See, that is why here I have put down next to it in the bracket, back to bijam. Once you have that inclination now turns into desire, bijam, and then desire, then you start acting on it, karma, then it adds to the baggage of karma phala, then it manifests, you enjoy or you suffer. And eventually in this material world, even the so-called enjoyment is also suffering. Ultimately, it all leads to suffering only. So that is why today's topic, why do we suffer? What is the root cause of suffering? It's because of ignorance. So our journey now is to go from ignorance to knowledge. Remember, Krishna told Arjuna, take the weapon of knowledge and slash this demon of ignorance in your heart. So now, if we were to go to any layman and ask, are you suffering? He'll admit yes. What kind of suffering? He may give like, dozen different reasons, all the different things, what he's suffering, whatever his list of miseries are that he's going through. And generally, the common people, when we think how to end our suffering, now we are moving to the second section, the root causes. We saw it is ignorance, and especially kutam is very dangerous. Now, having understood the root cause, now how do we end suffering? So people think, if I only make this much amount of money, maybe if I become a millionaire or if I have these many crores of rupees, then that will be the end of all suffering. So people make money their objective, especially in Kali Yuga, thinking if I am financially stable, if I am wealthy, then I can get rid of all my suffering. That's not true, really. If that was the case, all you and I had to do was take a list of the richest people in the world and just look for ourselves. Are they really happy? And usually we end up seeing that if we really get into the details, we see that actually those people are suffering even more. And maybe somebody will say, if only I eat right and exercise right, and if I have like really good health, then that is the end of all my suffering. People say health is the most important thing. So if you are in good health, whether you have money or not, or relationships or whatever, as long as you are in good health, then they say that is the real wealth. Then there is no suffering. Well, again, that is also not true. No matter how much we try and keep in good health and all that, still, eventually it's going to grow old and we are susceptible to certain diseases. This is not to say that we should not eat right or exercise right. Of course, we should do that, but that's no guarantee for not suffering. And some people may say, if only I have a great set of family and friends accompanying me around me, a shoulder to lean on, some people to celebrate with. So at good and bad times, if I have good family and friends for support, then they may think then that's the end of suffering. But we see that is also not a foolproof formula. Or somebody may say, if only I lived in another country, if only I looked a certain way, if only I was a little bit more intelligent, if only I had this talent, if only I was famous, if only I had this kind of power, if only I had this position, maybe I'm the business owner, or maybe I'm the CEO, or maybe I'm the president of some country. So if this, if that, so people are constantly on this quest for ending the suffering by trying to solve this puzzle by various means. But we see through our own experience and what is happening to others around us, none of these seem to be working. Eventually, Maya, Krishna's external energy is so strong that he just baffles us with so many different things. If you seem like, I just got it, I solved this, I got somewhere, oh, there you go. Some other challenge comes. And by the time you think, okay, now I have solved this, I have taken care of this, yay, I've gotten somewhere, now I'm not going to suffer. She surprises you with something else. So this is a never-ending cycle of man trying to overpower the external energy of Krishna, but nobody has succeeded thus far. After all, Daiviyesha Gunamayi, she is the divine energy of Krishna, Durga Devi, and she is far more powerful than us. But she is a subordinate of Krishna, she is a servant of Krishna. Alright, so now Bhakti is the one and only way. There is no other way. You can try. If anybody thinks there is any other way, you can give it a try. And sooner or later, you are going to find out that there is no other way except for Bhakti. So how to end all of our suffering? It's Bhakti, Bhakti, Bhakti. Devotional service. And Bhakti, this word can be used for only Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and nobody else. Anybody else you may be worshipping, that is called Upasana. That is not Bhakti. The proper use, the correct use of the word Bhakti, devotional service, is only to the one and only Supreme Lord Krishna. Now you may differ in your opinion on this, but if we go by Shastra, the scriptures, what they are saying, this is the answer. So Bhakti is the one and only way how to end our suffering. Now that people may think, okay, Bhakti is quite simple. I believe in God. I light 2 agarbattis in the morning. I keep there. I even do a little bit of chanting. I'm a pretty good person. I don't intentionally cause harm to anybody. So alright, I'm already a devotee. I'm following the path of Bhakti. Well, that's not so easy. So our acharyas, especially acharyas like Rupa Goswami, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, they've written vast amounts of literature, scripture to help us understand what is this bhakti, what does the journey on this path of devotional service look like. Because many times for devotees, this is a constant question that we get during classes. They ask, I seem a little lost. They may say like, I've been chanting for these many years. I've been studying Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, but I feel stuck. Or I feel like I'm not getting anywhere and I don't know where I am. I don't know how far I have to go. But actually, these scriptures throw a lot of light in very systematically, scientifically, logically understanding the entire process of bhakti. So even before we get to the ladder of bhakti, the creeper of bhakti, We have to understand there are two types of bhakti, Ragatmika bhakti and Raganuga bhakti, or generally it is called Raga bhakti in one term. And the second is Vaidhi bhakti. But even before that, let's take a step back. Now we are all going to go on a journey, okay? And we are going to go on this journey of gardening. If you are like my brother who is a gardening enthusiast, they love digging up the soil and potting and repotting. Just this afternoon, my mother and brother were just repotting some palm trees. I thought how apt today we are going to talk about a creeper. So put on your gardener's hat. Whether you are a gardener or not doesn't matter. Put on your gardener's hat and we will go on this journey of, we want to get some fruit. What is that fruit? We will find out. But fruit is little distant away, right? First we want the seed. When you want to grow anything at all, the first thing is we want a seed. Everything begins from there. So now the seed of devotion, the seed of bhakti, where to get it? Can we go to some store and say, sir, just give me 2 seeds of bhakti, 1 packet of bhakti? It's not available in the store. So where is it available? Where can I purchase this thing called bhakti, devotional service? How do I get it? Because now we just found out that bhakti is the one and only way to end our suffering. So where should I get this seed of devotion? Bhakti. So bhakti can be given by those who are bhaktas. Even if you go to Krishna and say, Krishna, give me bhakti, Krishna doesn't have bhakti. It is Krishna's devotees who have bhakti to Krishna, and Krishna has empowered. Of course, Krishna only gives bhakti, but he gives it through his bhaktas. And the bhaktas are so wonderful that indiscriminately, without discriminating based on your status, based on your appearance, based on your nationality, based on your religion, based on your, whatever, indiscriminately based on your qualification, they don't see anything. They give you the seed of bhakti. They plant the seed of bhakti in your heart. So it's only a pure devotee of the Lord who can give you bhakti, and it is costless. There is nothing you can do to actually purchase that bhakti. It is because of their mercy, because they are so kind and compassionate. They are saying, Acho, Baba, this jiva is suffering so much in this material world. Here, take bhakti. Perform devotional service. Go back home, back to Godhead. So out of the costless mercy of a pure devotee, we get this seed of bhakti. Alright, remember, we are all gardeners right now. First thing, we wanted to get seed of bhakti. Alright, we found out that costless mercy from pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, we get this seed of devotion. Alright, wonderful. Now the seed is not automatically going to become a tree and give you a fruit. There is a lot of work to be done. The most important step is getting the seed. Okay, now let's imagine we got the seed, alright? Now, 2 types of bhakti. Raga bhakti and Vaidhi bhakti. What is Raga bhakti? Raga bhakti means spontaneously you perform devotional service. Nobody has to come to force you. Constantly and spontaneously you have an inclination towards performing bhakti, devotional service. You can chant the names of the Lord constantly without anybody, telling 16 rounds, 20 rounds, the whole day you're doing it. You have attachment and inclination to hearing Krishna Katha, to serving the Lord, to serving the devotees, to doing the Shastra Adhyayana, to developing amazing Vaishnava qualities. All spontaneous, natural, inherent, it is coming. That is Raganuga Bhakti. Like gopis and so many great devotees who come in Bhagavatam's pages, right? There are so many Raganuga, Ragatmika devotees are there. There is a very slight difference between Ragatmika and Raganuga, but we will not really get into that level of detail. And the next one is Vaidhi Bhakti. Here we try to do as per the rules and regulations because we do not have that spontaneous attraction for the Lord. So the Guru says, okay, minimum 16 rounds you do. of Hare Krishna mantra chanting. You follow the 4 regulative principles. You associate only with devotees. Take only prasadam. The do's and don'ts. Vaidi means coming from vidhana. Vaidi means rituals. The do's and don'ts actually. So most of us, I am assuming safely that we are under Vaidi Bhakti. So eventually, the hope that we have is by performing Vaidi Bhakti nicely, we will get to Raganuga Bhakti someday. But if you understand what we are going to discuss today, this whole process can be cut short. The time that it's going to take, instead of millions of lives, it can be cut short. It said even in this very lifetime, we can make it happen. So Vaidi Bhakti is as per the rules and regulations. Raganuga Bhakti is a very spontaneous performance of devotional service. Now, immediately the moment you start performing devotional service, remember we got the seed of Bhakti. So the moment the seed of Bhakti, okay, you planted in the soil. And what is that soil? It is our heart. And just like getting a good seed is very important, picking the right kind of land, the fertile soil to sow, that is also very important. Any good gardener will tell you this. So in which heart will the seed of Bhakti flourish nicely? The heart in which humility is there. The heart which is filled with tolerance. The seed of devotion will come up very nicely. It will sprout nicely. But the heart in which it is filled with pride and arrogance and lack of tolerance and so many other anarthas, it is difficult. So the heart which is very, very humble, always ready to give respect to others and always not expecting respect for oneself, like our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Shikshashtakam. So this seed, if you sow it in the heart that is soft like butter, so Krishna can come and steal, and it is filled with humility, 2 leaves will sprout. 2 leaves. Very tender, nice leaves. Okay. Of those 2 leaves, the upper superior surface of the leaf, the upper leaf is the Raganuga Bhakti, and the bottom, which is less superior compared to Raganuga Bhakti, the bottom part of those 2 leaves is Vaidi Bhakti. Why 2 leaves? Why not more? Well, the 2 leaves actually, they will do immediately as you start performing your, devotional service. One is Kleshagni. It will mitigate, it will destroy, it will start destroying your suffering right away. The moment you start chanting Hare Krishna, the moment you get into any kind of devotional service, angas, the limbs of devotional service, 2 things will happen. One leaf refers to Kleshagni and the other leaf Shubhada. I hope our Shubhaprada Devi Mataji is listening. Her name is Shubhaprada. So the actual Shubhaprada, what gives us Shubhada, auspiciousness, is Bhakti. So one leaf that has sprouted will do Kleshagni. What does Kleshagni? Klesha means we understood it as suffering. There are basically 3 types of suffering. Adhyatmika Klesha, the suffering because of one's own body and mind. Adi Bhaudika, suffering because of other living entities, and Adi Daivika, suffering because of supernatural elements. So all the types of sufferings we are going through can be categorized in one of these buckets. And of course, added to this is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, but we'll not get into all that now. So these Kleshagnis, they will start mitigating. To the extent that you are performing devotion nicely, to the extent that you are being an excellent gardener and taking care of this bhakti plant, bhakti seed, nicely you're taking care of this sprouted plant, these kleshas will go down, go down, go down. On one hand, the suffering will go down. On the other hand, Shubhada. Shubha means auspiciousness. On the other hand, auspicious things will increase in your life. And what are those auspicious things? Jagat Priyanam. You start having compassion and be friendly to all the living entities. You will not be cruel towards anyone. Sarva Jagatam Anurakta. And you also develop detachment from the material things, material world. Anurakta. Now you don't have so much of asakti, attachment. Shadgunadi Pradatvam. Immediately you will also start developing really wonderful, nice, amazing qualities in you. Shadgunadi, all the gunas. That Krishna elaborately talks about Bhagavad Gita in several places. Those gunas, those qualities will start manifesting in you. You become very equipoised. You're able to tolerate the ups and downs of your life. You are honest. You're clean. You're punctual. You don't like to waste time now. So many wonderful qualities will come. You're not proud. You understand your true nature. And number 4 is Sukha Pradatvam. Actually, happiness will start coming even at the material level, actually. Vaishayikam, Brahman and Aishwaram. Vaishayikam means even at the material level, you start getting fame, you start getting some position or status or even financial, well-being, so many different things. And some people actually fall prey for that. They start giving so much importance for the facilities they get and they forget to take care of the devotional plant. Remember, our goal is now to nourish this plant until it actually gives the fruit. It is still very tender now. We have only received the seed and we have the pure devotee has planted it in our heart. And only 2 small leaves have come until now. So Vaishayikam is Vishaya. At the material level, we start getting facilities. And Brahman level Sukham, becoming merging with the energy of Krishna. That is Brahman happiness. And Aishwaram. So this is even beyond where we actually go back to Vaikuntha. So Shubhada. Shubhada means auspiciousness, all kinds of wonderful things. So these 2 leaves, one leaf is Kleshagni, mitigating of all suffering. Another leaf is Shubhada, where it is bestowing us with all these different types of happiness. And then this plant now has to start growing. We have to nicely water it and give it some manure and make sure the weeds are removed and make sure that you protect this creeper from all the sides so no stray animals will come and trample on it and destroy it. So a good gardener will do all these things. He will nicely take care of the plant, make sure that no insects or pests are coming and eating away your plant and it's growing. Make sure that there are no weeds which is sucking up all the water and nutrients and your plant is starving. So as gardeners, we need to pay attention to all these things. So now there are 9 very important stages of bhakti. So you can imagine this to be a ladder. And many of you may say, well, I know all this ladder, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, all that. But you may not know all the details that we are going to talk about. So please stay on this course. Stick around and listen to the session, please. It's my humble request. Okay, now the very first stage is Shraddha. So once you start performing devotional service, there is some amount of faith. What faith? What does it mean? Shraddha means to have firm trust in the import of the scriptures dealing with bhakti. This is Shraddha. Shraddha doesn't mean simply, okay, yeah, I believe in God, there is God. No, that means, okay, you're a believer in God. But Shraddha means to have firm faith in what is given in the scriptures. So that means we should study the scriptures or we should hear about what is given in the scriptures to develop that kind of firm faith. And not only do we have faith in the instructions of the scriptures, my dear devotees, the next aspect is having a genuine desire to enthusiastically undertake the activities described in those scriptures. Okay, so Krishna says, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto, he's telling always think of me, alright? So if I have faith in that, am I having a genuine desire It is not said that you have to be successfully doing it. At least do you have a desire at this stage? And is that desire genuine? Are you sincere about it? And do you have that desire to enthusiastically take up these things? Maybe, and you're desiring how someday, if I'm like this, the way Krishna is talking about Sthita Prajna, you desire to be like that person someday. And it is said there are two types: Swabhaviki Shraddha, Balotpadita Shraddha. Swabhaviki Shraddha means naturally it is coming to you, your faith is increasing. But Balotpadita Shraddha means somebody is forcing you. Like, say, for example, in the folk hostels, Friends of Lord Krishna, how they have in the temple, they have like an accountability chart, and they have a mentor or a counselor who goes and talks to them and says, hey, why you did not come for 2 Mangalaratis in the last 1 week? Why you did not do this service, or why are you sleeping late? So somebody, Balotpadita, they are keeping an account and they are forcing them. Or maybe force or encouraging them rather. So regardless whether they are doing it on their own or whether they are doing it because somebody is encouraging them to do so, regardless of whatever it is still stage 1 Shraddha stage. Alright, that's good. So our little tiny sprout that had come up from the seed of devotion, you are watering it and it's nicely coming up little by little now. It's growing. Let's go to stage 2. So the moment you have faith in what is given in the scripture, then you tend to hang around with the like-minded people, right? Now you want to be spending time and doing things and talking to people who are also having faith in the scriptures. And this is very true. If you are an engineer, you want to hang out with other engineers. If you're a businessman, you want to hang out with other business people. If you are an athlete, you want to hang out with other athletes. Yeah? So whatever you are into, if you're a mom of some 2 children, then you want to hang out with other moms also and get to know what they're doing with their parenting and all that. So whoever, whatever it is, it's a general thing to hang out with like-minded people. So similarly for devotees also, now that you are having Shraddha, faith, you start associating or you're seeking association of like-minded people, and that leads to sadhu sangha, and especially the sadhu that we want to associate with and we want to surrender to and take shelter of is our guru. Take initiation. And once that guru accepts us as their disciple, and then they encourage us and they say, okay, here are other devotees, please cooperate with them and serve with them, converse with them, discuss Krishna Katha with them, so all these things. So sadhu sangha is stage 2, and stage 3 is anishtita. Stage 3 is bhajana kriya. So a guru, when they accept us as their disciple, right at the time of initiation, they give us clear instructions of bhajana. Sadhu will give sadhana. So they will give us all the different things that you and I need to do once we take up sadhu sangha, and especially accept the shelter of a guru. Now this bhajana kriya, stage 3, there is steady stage and unsteady stage. Bhajana means basically sadhana, all our chanting, Ekadashi Vrata, study of Shastras, service, waking up early morning, all the different things, taking prasadam, not taking intoxicants, all these different things. Everything is bhajana kriya, kirtan, pilgrimages, all these various limbs of devotion, it's all bhajana kriya. Anishtita, unsteady, and there is nishtita, steady. So usually in the initial stages, it is unsteady bhajana kriya. Again, this anishtita, unsteady bhajana kriya is 6 types. First one is utsahamayi, false confidence. This happens right at the beginning when somebody takes up Krishna consciousness. They have so much abundant amount of confidence and enthusiasm. They feel like that's it. Tomorrow they're going to go back home, back to Godhead, Goloka. They feel like, oh, now I just know it. I've mastered this, I've chanted 16 rounds and this and that, and I'm just taking the plane to Goloka, the very next flight available. And this is the initial stage where they have the tendency to grab everybody who comes to them. In fact, this takes me to my own earlier days when I was studying my engineering and when I was getting into Krishna consciousness. You start telling everybody at home and your friends and whoever you can find is like, oh, do you know about this and that and so many things. There is that utsaha, enthusiasm. But we all know that enthusiasm doesn't last too long. And next type of anishtita bhajan is gana tarala. Tarala. Gana tarala. So gana means thick, heavy. Tarala means light, thin. So this, I think many of us now can start relating to what we are going through. Gana tarala means sporadic endeavor. That means sometimes we feel like our chanting is going great, we are able to rise early, we are able to take only prasadam, we are able to control our anger, we are able to, do things very nicely. And then a phase where we actually are again not very steady. And like some people say, oh, my chanting has gone so down. I used to do like 16 rounds or maybe even 20, 24 rounds. Now I barely do 4 rounds or sometimes not even that. That means sporadic, sometimes doing really well and sometimes not doing well at all. And then the third is Vyuda Vikalpa, indecision. So this happens because sometimes philosophically they're not very sound and they're not really getting good advice from senior devotees. So Vyuda Vikalpa is confusion. They're just thinking, oh, should I get married? Should I not get married? If I do this, then that may happen. Should I just renounce everything? No, then that will not be good. I have these family responsibilities. So should I do that and this? So they're just, all this mental concoction of indecision and all that anxiety that is coming as a result of that is Vyuda Vikalpa. This is also happening as a result of Anishtita Bhajan. And Vishaya Sangara, struggle with the senses. And this happens because we are still not very firm and solid in our practice. So Vishaya Sangara means struggling with the senses in the sense we know that we should not get angry, but we lose our temper. We are struggling to control. We know that we should eat only prasadam, which is cooked by devotees, but maybe due to office commitments or whatever other commitments, or just because we're not able to control our taste buds, we may end up eating karmi food or anything like this. Any of our senses, we want to control it, but it's not happening at all times. And niyamakshama means inability to uphold vows. So this is like 4, but little more, it's somewhat better actually. In Vishaya Sangara, we are struggling with the senses, not able to do even what we are supposed to do. In Niyamakshama, we have taken a vow. So maybe somebody says, okay, Ekadashi, I will do complete Nirjala. So they've taken the vow, but maybe at times they are not able to uphold that vow. It's good that they have taken the vow, but they are not able to keep it up at all times. Or maybe somebody's vow is every day before 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll finish my 16 rounds. It's a vow, but maybe they're not able to keep up that vow. So Niyamakshama, Niyama, they've taken a vow but not able to keep it up. And Taranga Rangini, enjoying the facilities offered by Bhakti. Remember we said in Shubhada, when you start performing Bhakti, Bhakti Devi will give you even material facilities. Maybe people start adoring you, they start respecting you. Sometimes they're touching your feet, and giving you all kinds of this and that, and so much of status and prestige is coming. And people start enjoying those, and they forget that my main business is I'm a gardener. I was supposed to take care of this creeper of Bhakti Lata, creeper of Bhakti. So it's a very tender creeper that's growing. We have to take care of it. But people get so enamored by these other things. Taranga Rangini, Taranga means waves of material facilities that come. So they get so allured with all those external things and they may neglect their bhakti. So So then bhajana kriya may not happen. So that is why these are the 6 types of anishtita bhajan, unsteady bhajan. So maybe some of us now can start relating and understand, where am I going? Where do I see myself? So the solution for this is, find devotees who are really solid about their sadhana and practice, and do more of sadhu sangha with proper sadhus. Who is a sadhu? We'll come to that shortly. Like, you want to be sincere and improve your own shastric study, find a sadhu who is really good in that, and draw inspiration and talk to them and associate with them. Maybe you want to improve your chanting. If you know a devotee who is very pakka about their chanting, so associate with them and learn from them. So doing more and the right kind of sadhu sangha is very important in order to overcome this anishtita bhajana kriya. So now we are going to get into stage number 4, anartha nivrutti. So even before we get to this anartha nivrutti stage, let's talk about 4 kinds of anarthas. It may be a little overwhelming now because we're talking about so many different types, but just take in as much as you can. You can always come back and watch it. It will be available on Aradhana Online YouTube channel. You can watch it as many times as you want later. But try to grasp as much as possible, like right now. So 4 kinds of anarthas: asat trishna, hridaya daurbalyam, tattva vibrama, and aparada. And what is basically anartha? It is unwanted desire in our heart which is not favorable for bhakti. Unwanted desire. So asat trishna. What is asat trishna? Trishna means thirst. Asat trishna means thirst for material objects. So we are on the path of bhakti, still we have the desire for material objects. Get another TV or upgrade my vehicle or get this phone or do this or do that, so many things, get this set, whatever. A desire for material objects and desire for heavenly comforts. Do a lot of punya, piety, pious activities, accumulate a lot of piety and wanting to go to Svargaloka and enjoy there. This is Asat Trishna. And desire for mystic powers, all the yogis and babas who have this mystical powers that they have, that is also material. And ultimately desire for liberation, even wanting moksha, that is also Asat Trishna. And hridaya daurbalyam, this is one more anartha, weakness of heart. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna calls Arjuna and he says, Arjuna, this is actually your hridaya daurbalyam. You are being weak-hearted because of your attachment to your people. And hridaya daurbalyam is again 4 types, dear devotees. One is envy. So if we are feeling envious, what is envy? Para utkarshana asahanam. Para utkarshana, when somebody is doing better in any which way, asahanam, not being able to tolerate other people's prosperity, that is envy. And this is weakness of heart. And this is an anartha. This is unwanted thing which will not help our bhakti lata to grow. Our plant of devotion will not grow well if we have envy. Then the desire for fame, wanting to be liked and appreciated and have a huge fan following. Now this does not mean that you should not have fame. The fame may come to you. In fact, when you don't want it, it will come on its own. The more you chase it, it is elusive. But if you're not really going after it, it usually comes to you. So it doesn't mean that you should not be famous, because even when you are famous, you can use that fame also in the service of Krishna. But it means you don't have the desire for it. You don't estimate your worthiness and self-esteem based on your amount of fame that you have. So desire for fame is also hridaya daurbalyam. And number 3, deceitfulness or fault finding. Deceitfulness means being two-faced. Acting in one way but actually thinking something else, or being deceitful means, lying, trying to cheat, and trying to act nice, but then actually meaning evil or backstabbing somebody. All this could be deceitfulness or fault finding. This is also an anartha. And number 4, attachment to objects unrelated to Krishna. So these are the 4 aspects of Hridaya Daurbalyam. And then number 3, third category of anartha is Tattva Vibhrama. Tattva means philosophy. Philosophy means understanding things as they are. Who am I? Who is God? What is this world? What is the goal of life? All this is philosophy. Vibhrama means misunderstanding about philosophy. Not understanding philosophical aspects properly. And because of that misunderstanding, doing a whole bunch of things we should not be doing. So again, these are 4 types. Misunderstanding of one's own identity, not knowing that I am a soul, I am not the body, I am part and parcel of Krishna. Number 2, misunderstanding of the Supreme Lord, not understanding the distinction between Krishna's position and the demigod's position and the Jiva's position and Krishna's energies. And number 3, misunderstandings about the process of devotional service itself. Can we see this? Many a time people have this, concocted understanding of Krishna consciousness. And they will be even wearing tilak and kantimala and all that. You think they're devotees, but they don't have proper understanding of devotional service. So we don't want to be like really associating with such kind of people who don't have a proper understanding. And misunderstandings related to subjects unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. This is also Tattva Vibhrama. And the 4th category of anarthas is aparadha. Now this is a big one, aparadha, because any offense we commit, it's dangerous and detrimental for our bhakti lata to grow. So aparadha also mainly 4 types: offenses to the holy name. In fact, in I think most of the ISKCON centers, before starting the japa in the morning, they chant the 10 offenses to the holy name. Chanting attentively is also an offense. Inattentively, I mean. And offenses to the Lord's deity form. We should be very careful when dealing with Krishna in the form of his Archa Vigraha. Offenses to the devotees, Vaishnava aparadh, big time. It can hold back our growth. It can make our Krishna Bhakti completely stagnant. And then offenses to other living entities, other jivas, even who are not devotees. We should not be offensive towards them. Because they are also part and parcel of Krishna. Miracles happen every day. Who knows when they are going to take up Krishna consciousness. So these are the 4 categories of offenses. And the solution to the 4 anarthas which we just now discussed, if you can follow Nectar of Instruction, NOI refers to Nectar of Instruction. It's a small book actually. So for Asat Trishna, the 2nd shloka of Nectar of Instruction will be very useful if you follow that. Hridaya Daurbalyam, 4th shloka of Nectar of Instruction. And for Tattva Vibhrama, philosophically not understanding things properly, we have to surrender and have chastity, that means loyalty, faithfulness towards Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And aparadha, to avoid the offenses, we have to follow Nectar of Instruction, 1st shloka. Because of lack of time, we are not getting into all the shlokas of Nectar of Instruction, but maybe eventually we'll take up sometime this also, Krishna Prabhupada will. Okay, now stage number 4. So our Bhakti Lata, the creeper, remember we're all gardeners, right? It's growing and growing. There are a few more leaves. It has become a little stronger now. It's growing up. But still it has a long way to go from giving the fruit. So the 4th stage and perhaps the longest stage is Anartha Nivritti. And there are 4 types of anarthas. Dushkritotta, anarthas coming from sinful activities. Sukritotta, anarthas coming from pious activities. Yeah, even if you did punya, but because that is also in material realm, anarthas come from that also. Because then we tend to get attached too much to enjoyment. Aparadotta, anarthas coming from offenses. Remember, we just now talked about offenses. And bhakti yukta, anarthas coming from devotional service itself. Even while performing bhakti, we tend to do certain things because of which anarthas may crop up. So the 10 nama aparadas, we are not going to talk about all of them, keeping in the interest of time, sorry. So the number one and very, very dangerous type of aparada is Vaishnava Ninda. So who is first of all a Vaishnava? Because many a times they say, oh, you're doing Vaishnava aparad. Well, all right. First of all, is that person a Vaishnava? Is the devotee a Vaishnava? So simply by the external appearance, somebody doesn't become a Vaishnava, although external appearance is also important. But what matters is, do they have these things? So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says, if somebody is a Dayalu, merciful, Sahishnu, tolerant, Sama, equal, Droha Shunya Vrata, penance without injury to the body. Because some people do some vrata where they are actually torturing their body, unnecessary fastings. There are too many, different things where they actually cause a lot of harm. Satyasara, truthfulness, Vishuddhatma, purified, Parahitarata, engaged in the welfare of mankind, Kame, Akshubhita Buddhi, intelligence that is free from lust. So lusty intelligence means anybody you see, anything you see, you're always trying to use it for your interest. Oh, this person, how can this person help me in what I am doing? Oh, okay, I have 2 hours time. How can I enjoy these 2 hours of time? Okay, I have some 50,000 rupees. How can I use 50,000 rupees for my enjoyment? This is lusty intelligence. Using intelligence to use people and things for our enjoyment. That is lusty intelligence. But here, Kame Akshubhita Buddhi means intelligence which is free from lust. Using intelligence to serve the Lord for Lord's enjoyment. Danta, restrained, akinchana, devoid of concept of ownership. Mrudu, very gentle. Shuchi, clean, internally and externally both. Paripita Boji, regulated in eating and other habits. So these are all Vaishnava qualities. So we should not be Vaishnava in name only. We should also have these qualities. Shantaman, very peaceful. Aniha, apathy to materialism. Driman, patience. Stira, steadiness. Apramatta, very attentive and alert. Sugambira, very grave. Vijita Sadguna, Vijita Shadguna, conquering over the 6 gunas like hunger and thirst and lamentation, envy, old age and death. Amani, not expecting honor from others. Manada, giving respect to others. Coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shikshashtakam. Daksha, very expert and skillful in what they do. Avanchaka, non-hypocritical, very straightforward in their dealing. Jnani, knowledgeable of the scriptures. So like this, we have to see who is the real Vaishnava. If the devotees are embodying these qualities, sadhu bhushanaha. So these are the ornaments that a sadhu wears, which makes the sadhu very attractive, even to Lord Krishna. But these are all secondary qualities, characteristics. But the primary characteristic of a Vaishnava is, has he or she completely surrendered unto the Lord? Are they conducting their life in such a way that they are working towards pleasing the Lord? So the primary attribute of a Vaishnava is that they are surrendered unto the Lord, and the secondary attributes are all these qualities. So together, if they are like this, then they are a Vaishnava. But if we happen to offend a Vaishnava, then it's a great, obstacle on the path of our bhakti. In fact, Vaishnava aparada is one of the things that takes like a really long time to get rid of. And ultimately, the best is you approach that particular Vaishnava, whoever you have offended, and you seek forgiveness. Just like Ambrish Maharaj's case, which many times we have tried to understand. When Durvasa Muni offended Maharaja Ambrish, even the Lord said, no, this is beyond my jurisdiction. And only when Ambrish said, yes, I forgive you, and he was so kind, he didn't take any offense actually. He was such a wonderful Vaishnava, Maharaja Ambrish. So we have to ask forgiveness from that Vaishnava, and we have to serve that Vaishnava the way that Vaishnava wants us to serve them, not doing something whimsically. But the best is try and avoid the offense. And the first thing when we commit some offense, what Krishna does is he holds back the ecstasy that you get while performing bhakti. And once that ecstasy is taken away, that rasa is not there, then it just becomes stagnant, and it can just take one from wherever they are and just completely, that's why people, when they're chanting, they may say, I'm not getting any ecstasy from this, I'm not feeling any bliss, or some service opportunities they may lose. So many things they may happen which will cripple them in their bhakti, the performance of devotional service. So our bhakti lata will become very stagnant. So there are again 12 types of Vaishnava aparadha. Just in Vaishnava Ninda, there are, see how amazing our acharyas are. Like, they have analyzed so many things. People talk about science, but science doesn't even come to level 1, that is Shraddha, which is faith. Science will say, oh, this is all faith. We don't go by faith. We will go by experimentation and observation. But the same science which talks like that, if you see, it is filled with so many things where they simply put faith. Like, for example, if you ask them what is square root of -1, science will say it is I. What is I? It's an imaginary number. Well, then they are placing their faith in that. And so many things, when they are experimenting, it's based on hypothesis. They don't know if that's even true. That means they're just putting some faith in those hypotheses. So science has failed even at stage 1. They don't even come to the stage of faith. But our acharyas, even beyond faith, they are analyzing in such deep way. So all glories and such gratitude to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who's done such amazing job in Madhurya Kadambini. So 12 types of Vaishnava aparadas: Janma Nirupana, respecting or disrespecting the Vaishnava because of his high or low birth. Sharira Nirupana, to disrespect someone because of his body. Like, somebody may disrespect Hanumanji or Garuda, saying that, oh, he's in a monkey's body, or Garuda is in a bird's body, but they are such great Vaishnavas. Bhava Nirupana, to consider someone unqualified for bhakti because of his age. So maybe somebody is in a young body now, but they may be far more advanced than you and I from their previous lives. It's just that they are in a younger body, like Dhruva, just 5 years, but look at what he accomplished. Ashrama Nirupana, to consider someone unqualified for bhakti because of his ashrama. So example is the devotee Dhanurdas. So sometimes sannyasis may look upon grihasthas, or grihasthas may look upon brahmacharis and say, what, these people are not doing anything. So we have to be very careful. Avayava Nirupana, disrespecting a Vaishnava because of his bodily deformities. For example, Ashtavakra Muni, he had 8 places Ashtavakra, his body was bent. And some people would disrespect him for that. It's Vaishnava aparad. Alasya Nirupana, to disrespect someone because of his habits. Vasa Nirupana, to consider someone unqualified for bhakti because of his not staying in a dham. Bandhu Nirupana, disrespecting a Vaishnava because of his being a family member. This happens, isn't it? Familiarity breeds contempt. Prakasha Nirupana, to disrespect only one's guru and disrespect all others. But we have to be respectful towards everybody. But of course, we should respect our guru as good as God. But it also means we should respect others as well. Prakara Nirupana, to respect only those close to the guru and disrespect all others. Vartana Nirupana, to insult someone because of their occupation. Dosha Nirupana, finding fault even with Shastric character. So these are the 12 types of Vaishnava aparad. So although we talked about who is a Vaishnava, in fact, we really don't know what is the dealing between Krishna and different Vaishnavas. So it is better indiscriminately, just don't offend anybody. Instead of trying to analyze, is this a Vaishnava, is he not a Vaishnava, and all that, let's not even get into that. So the best thing is just avoid all the aparadhas, offenses. And the next one is offense towards even Shastra. So actually the second one is misunderstanding the position of Vishnu and Devatas. That is also an offense. If anybody thinks the Devatas are on the same level as Lord Krishna, that's an aparadh. That means one is not understanding the distinction in positions between Krishna, the demigods, Krishna's avatars and expansions, and us, the jivas. So we have to understand these things nicely so there will be no misunderstanding. And criticism of scriptures. Again, another big offense. So, and then bhakti-yuta, anarthas coming from devotional service, which we already covered actually earlier in the different types of anarthas like Hridaya Daurbalyam and all that, which we already spoke. So this shastric offense, committing offense towards scriptures, criticizing scriptures, it comes because of these four faults of human beings. Karana Patava, limited perception, because our senses are very limited, they are not perfect. Brahma, illusion, and Vipralipsa, desire to report something other than what is perceived. Vipralipsa is, not seeing things as they are. And pramada, inattention of the senses and the propensity to cheating. So all these are shortcomings of this material body. But Shastras are not like that. They are apaurusheya. They're coming straight from the Supreme Lord. So the scriptures don't come under these four faults. It's not coming from a human. It's coming from the Supreme Lord. So we should never ever criticize scriptures. That would be a big offense. So actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur does like really amazing job. So we see Dushkrutota Anarthas, it goes even up till the stage of Asakti. You don't completely get rid of them. Bhaktiyota Anarthas goes all the way up to Ruchi to get rid of them. And then Aparadota Anarthas. It may even go to like Prema stage, highest, ninth stage. That highest prema is ninth stage, and personal. So many different things he talks about, but I'm not really going to go into all these things in detail. Please refer the book Madhurya Kadambini. You can go through all these things yourself. Then stage 5 is Nishta, and the 5 Nishta. What is Nishta? So our creeper is growing. Earlier it was a tender sprout, then it became a small plant, a small creeper. Now it is growing, and it's become firm faith. So that very tender faith has become solid faith right now, but we have to be careful of the 5 obstacles for Nishta. Laya means sleep. Falling asleep during Bhagavatam class, Bhagavad Gita class. Falling asleep during chanting. These are all not good signs. Vikshepa means distraction. Distraction during our service, distraction during our japa, distraction during attending classes. Apratipatti, indifference or disinterest in spiritual topics. Kashaya, tendency toward bad habits. Rasaswada, taste for material enjoyment. So these are 5 obstacles even in Nishta state, so we should be very careful, otherwise it will not allow us to make further progress. Alright, now after Nishta, that means now we are steady. Steady means now Bhajana Kriya is happening nicely, it's not unsteady right now. And Ruchi means now you have a taste for it. You are relishing Kirtana, you are relishing Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam, you are relishing chanting the holy name, you are relishing serving the devotees, serving the Supreme Lord, you're relishing all these various aspects of bhakti. And you may have ruchi towards a certain aspect of bhakti more, like maybe somebody has a special taste for kirtan, maybe somebody has special taste for philosophy. Like for me, philosophy is the topmost. I just absolutely love philosophy. It gives me that intellectual stimulation and I derive a lot of relish by studying and giving classes like this, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, like just Madhurya Kadambini, preparing for this class. I was just relishing all these different aspects of bhakti. So Ruchi, what is your taste for? So when a person develops a taste for the activities of bhakti, such as hearing and chanting, which is vastly greater than attraction to anything else, that is called ruchi. Okay. So now in Ruchi, it is said that again it can be two types. One is maybe you relish it only when you are able to see that it is happening the way you want. Like, let's say, for example, somebody has a taste for kirtan, but maybe they enjoy the kirtan only if it is a fast beat kirtan, or maybe they're enjoying kirtan only if it is sung by certain devotees. Maybe they're enjoying the kirtan, certain instruments are played in a certain way by certain devotees. So that means they are relishing it, but they have some, conditions. If it is done the way they want it, it meets their inclinations, then they have taste. But a higher level of ruchi is, regardless of all these external elements, they have developed a deeper taste. So then, even if somebody is just clapping their hands and singing, or doesn't matter how their voices, they will still relish the kirtan because their actual ruchi is for the holy name, not just the external elements of who is singing, what instruments they are using, what is the quality of the voice, and things like that. So this is ruchi. Our creeper is growing now, and at the ruchi stage, now the stage 7 is asakti. So no, at asakti, not only there is taste, there is deep attachment now. Now even if somebody says don't chant, you have so much attachment, you will chant. You will find a way to do it. So when ruchi, taste which has bhajana, hearing, chanting and other devotional activities as its object of relish, reaches extreme depth and makes Krishna the object of relish, that is called asakti or attachment. So what's the difference between ruchi and asakti? While in ruchi you have taste for hearing, chanting and other devotional activities, but in asakti not only you have taste, but your interest is more in, is Krishna pleased with this? Making Krishna the object of relish means at every stage you're asking, is Krishna pleased with this? Is Krishna pleased with this? That is your objective, to please Krishna and Guru. That is asakti, attachment. And my dear devotees, so we are all, remember, gardeners, and we are tending to this creeper of bhakti. Bhakti Lata is growing. Now, not only do we have leaves, Hari Bol, the creeper of bhakti bears clusters of buds. Aha! Now the buds are coming up at the stage of asakti. Still not fruit, okay? Buds, but we are getting there. And stage 8 is bhava. So from asakti, attachment, you intensify. Now you simply cannot stop chanting. You simply cannot stop remembering Krishna. You simply cannot stop hearing Krishna Katha. So when asakti achieves full maturity, it is called rati or bhava. And bhava is the preliminary stage of manifestation of the three energies, Sat, Chit and Ananda, emanating from the Lord himself. Remember, we are actually spirit souls, not this body. And the true nature of spirit soul is Satchidananda Bhava. So that Bhava is getting manifested at Bhava stage, which is stage 8. So in asakti, the buds have come from the creeper. Now at Bhava stage, it's blossoming into a flower. Oh, Hare Krishna. It is called the blossoming flower on the creeper of bhakti. So in the bhakti lata now we have flower whose outer luster is the quality of sarvai sudur labha, rarity, and whose inner luster is moksha lagukriti, taking moksha as insignificant. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Even the topmost of the 4 purusharthas, moksha, even that is insignificant because you are relishing so much in bhava. Just one particle of which uproots ignorance completely. Remember, our whole goal is to go from ignorance to knowledge, to uproot ignorance. So here it is said, just one particle of which uproots ignorance completely, gone. One particle of this blossoming flower of bhava on the creeper of bhakti, it can eradicate ignorance completely. And bhava stage 8 has certain characteristics. But here a word of caution is, some people can fake certain external symptoms of bhava, like hair standing on end, and tears gliding down the cheeks. Some ecstatic symptoms. Somebody who is in Baba stage will have those ecstatic symptoms, but some people can pretend to have those and try to deceive people like they have reached a higher stage when they may not be actually. So we should be careful of pretenders. So what kind of characteristics does a devotee in the Baba stage have, Kshantin? They have tolerance, avyartha kalatvam. They never waste time. Like Prabhupada, right? Avyartha kalatvam. Every moment is used in Krishna service, even when he is sleeping. Not wasting time at all. Viraktir, detachment from enjoyment. They have lost the taste for enjoying this material world and material objects. Manashunyata, pridelessness, no pride whatsoever. How can a servant have any pride anywhere? Right? And we are dasas, dasis, servant of Krishna, Aradhana, Devi Dasi, servant of Supreme Most Srimati Radha Rani, who is the queen of worshipping Krishna. So when you identify and really know your identity that yes, I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord, then what do we have to feel proud about? So manashunyata, pridelessness, asha bandaha, confidence in the Lord's mercy, that avashya rakshive Krishna, Krishna will protect me, Lord's mercy, having that confidence. Samutkanta, longing for the Lord. Namagane sada ruchihi, taste for chanting the name of the Lord. Asaktis tad gunakyane, attachment to discussing about the Lord's qualities, not our own qualities. Usually people when they gather, that's what they're doing. They're doing their own gunagana. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, or talking about somebody else's gunagana. But devotees in Baba stage, always discussing about Lord's qualities, gunagana of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Pritis tad vasati stale, attachment to living in the abode of the Lord. So these are the 8 characteristics. And when Baba also completely matures and reaches its parakashta. Sorry, I should have deleted this text here that's coming from the previous one. So when Bhava becomes completely mature and fully ripened, now dear devotees, our Bhakti Lata, the creeper of devotional service, not only has flowers, Krishna Prema at this stage number 9, it also gives us fruits. And this fruit, this Bhakti Lata, the creeper of devotional service, is so powerful that it goes past the Vaitarini river, it goes past the material creation, it goes past all, even the spiritual layers, the Brahman stage, all the Vaikunthas, it goes all the way to Goloka, and in Goloka, at the lotus feet of Krishna, it offers this fruit. So Bhakti Lata, the Bhakti Bija, the seed of devotion was sown in the heart of a devotee whose heart was fertile with humility and sincere love and devotion for Krishna. And when the devotee, being the wonderful gardener, nicely tends and makes sure that you understand all these different aspects, know where we are and know what to be cautious of, and guard especially aparadas. So Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about a maddened elephant. What are aparadas? It's like a maddened elephant coming into the garden and just destroying the entire garden. So similarly, when aparadas happen, especially Vaishnava aparada, it can just trample our entire Bhakti Lata creeper. And also we should be very careful that in the name of watering and nourishing the devotional creeper, we should not be actually nourishing the weeds, becoming too proud. Maybe even in the temple, maybe somebody got some position or maybe some fan following and this and that, or maybe some talent somebody has. Because Shubhada, right? Even material facilities will come. So we should be very careful to always check, am I watering my Bhakti Lata or am I watering weeds? We should constantly check. Otherwise, our Bhakti growth will become stunted and the weeds will nicely grow, which is not what we want. A good gardener doesn't want that and doesn't let it happen. So just like a gardener stays, very vigilant and guards the plant and make sure constantly remove the weeds. So we should also constantly check the land of our heart, the soil of our heart. What kind of weeds are there? Constantly remove and make sure Bhakti Lata is getting proper nourishment. And what is the water? That is chanting and hearing, Shravanam Kirtanam, and Shastra study and service towards the Lord, the Supreme Lord and Guru, devotees. So then, my dear devotees, the Bhakti Lata will give this amazingly wonderful, most wonderful fruit, and it will give that fruit at the lotus feet of Krishna. And at that point, this jiva, which fell from the spiritual world to the material world and got covered with ignorance, now goes back home, back to Godhead, is at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Krishna, the ultimate shelter place. And now we are no longer in ignorance. All that ignorance is removed, and the chit, full of knowledge, the jnana which is already there, which is a characteristic of the soul, again becomes manifest. It's uncovered. So this is the journey of the jiva from ignorance to knowledge, from ajnana to jnana, from spiritual world back to the spiritual world. Okay, so this is a deep science actually. So devotional science, there are so many subtle elements, but thanks to our wonderful acharyas, and I want to offer my obeisances and extreme gratitude to Sripad, the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, for giving such wonderful analysis of the Bhakti ladder, Bhakti creeper so nicely in Madhurya Kadambini. So we should very nicely study this book and not take it for granted. We should not be casual in bhakti, thinking that, oh, anyway, I'm chanting my rounds, anyway, I'm doing this, anyway, No, it's not anyway. We have to be very, very careful. So again, I strongly recommend that you please read this book and, try to get a lot more, because I just gave you a glimpse into it, a sneak peek into it. But if you actually study the book, then you will get to know a whole lot of other details. So all the best to all of us, that may we try and take care and nourish and water this Bhakti Lata nicely, so it may give that fruit at the end of this very life, and may we all go back home, back to Godhead, and may we all successfully get rid of our ignorance and achieve knowledge. Okay, on that note, thank you very much. It's 7:13. Sorry, I went few minutes over. But there was so much to cover actually, All right, so now let me take a look at the comments, which I didn't for so long. Raseshwari Mataji saying, Hare Krishna, Ravindra Kulkarni sir, is Prarabdha karma refers to karma done in previous life, or it could be any other previous lives. So many. Shailaja Mataji, Hare Krishna. Prasadji, Hare Krishna. Gopi Rangan sir is saying, Mataji, Bhagwan Shri Krishna is right now talking to me through you. Thank you, thank you. I'm humbled to be an instrument in the hands of the Supreme Lord. Sharada Mataji is saying, mind-blowing lecture, Aradhana. Thank you so much. May Srila Prabhupada bless you more and more. Thank you so much, Mataji. Appreciate your blessings. Thank you. Tirumalai Kumaran sir is saying, no words to express our gratitude, Mataji. Well, truly, we have to be grateful to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Prabhupada and also Srila Prabhupada. Banu Mataji is saying, Hari Bol Mataji, you are the best Vaishnava I have ever seen, Mataji. All glories to you, Prabhupada and Sri Krishna. That is too high of a praise, Mataji. Definitely, I don't fit the bill, but thank you for your kind words. There are so many greater Vaishnavas. So Sri Girishji is saying, let me see. Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful knowledge. You're welcome, Girishji. This is another thing, anybody who has joined newly, like Sri Girishji, I don't know if I know you from earlier classes, maybe this is your first time. So anybody who is joining our sessions for the first time, I'm leaving my email ID here in the chat section. So please send me an email so I can get to know who you are and also see how to better serve you. And we have these sessions every Saturday, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here on Aradhana Online YouTube channel. So I would highly encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon using which you will get the notifications of all our sessions. So you can join us week after week, whether we go live or any recorded videos we upload, you will be notified of all of them. So go ahead and subscribe and also hit that bell icon. And also, if you feel like you got some value out of this session, you got a glimpse into what actually the devotional science looks like, Krishna Bhakti looks like. So please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. So that's the like button, and show us some love. Okay, so other people, when they see that, maybe they will also get encouraged to go ahead and watch the video and benefit from it and grow through Gita. All right. Abhi Mataji is saying, amazing session, Mataji. Thank you so much. You have sown the seed of bhakti in all our hearts, Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. I'm just an instrument. It's Prabhupada who is sowing the seeds, but thank you for your kind words. Shailaja Mataji is saying, thank you so much for wonderful session, Mataji. You're very welcome, Shailaja Mataji. Ganesh ji, wonderful session. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. Hare Krishna. Sandesh is saying, great session, Mataji. Thank you very much. Hari Bol. You're welcome, Sandesh. Thank you. I hope you get better soon. Get well. Lata Mataji is saying, thank you, Mataji. You're welcome. Asha ji is saying, thank you, Mataji, for such an awesome session. You're welcome, Asha ji. Vijay Rani Mataji is saying, thank you so much, Mataji, for a very wonderful session. You're very welcome, Vijay Mataji. So that was an awesome session. Okay. All right, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. Again, I took a few more minutes today because there was so much content to cover actually. I hope you will forgive me for intruding your time. But please do join us every Saturday, okay? Looking forward to seeing you week after week. Let's dive into the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. So last week we talked about Sarva Dharman Parityajya. The week before that we saw Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurtaraha. And today's shloka was chapter 4, shloka 42, where Krishna is telling Arjuna, Atishta Bharata, get up, O Arjuna, pick up the weapon of knowledge and slash the demon of ignorance. So maybe take inspiration from Krishna's instruction. So let us also get up, and with the weapon of knowledge, with all this wonderful understanding of devotional science, may we also slash the demon of ignorance through the guidance and help of Prabhupada and Krishna and all the wonderful devotees like you. So thank you very much. Take care, everyone. We will see you again next Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Indian time, which I've been sending out some video invites. So please, I would appreciate every week if you can kindly share it with everyone you know, so more people can come and benefit, and together we can grow through Gita. So, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Maharaj ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care and be safe. Hare Krishna.